Welcome to the Rotary Club of Edina, the #1 club in the universe. Yeah, baby. My name is Michael Stanzak, and I am humbled and honored to serve as your 67th president. Thank you all for coming out on this winter day, and thank you Zoomers for being there. We so appreciate it. I think, what do we have, 12, 15 people joining us on Zoom? 16 people. We have a fun and very interesting meeting planned today with my dear friend Darryl Landstrom, who is a director of the U.S. Ski Association. Darryl is a consummate gentleman, consummate businessman, who certainly embodies Rotary's motto, service above self, with all the time that he spent donating, the time that he spent promoting world-class skiing and snowboarding, not only in the United States, but around the world. Darryl himself is a very accomplished ski jumper who got his start as he's a very accomplished skier who got his start as a ski jumper in Duluth. Not sure if it's true, but rumor has it, one time he jumped off a ski jump with nothing on but a Speedo. Regardless, he is a lot of fun, and we're so fortunate to have him here with us today. Our first member spotlight today is on Toshi Metzger, who was celebrating her birthday on Saturday, January 22nd, with her sons Drake and Derek. And I just found out today that out of 21 mortgage associates at her company, she was #1. Way to go, Toshi. The next member spotlight is on our resident famous musician. I don't think Paul is here today, is he? But he was celebrating his brother Billy's birthday. How many people here have heard the Peterson family perform? Raise your hand. They are so good. They are so talented. I mean, the fact that Paul played with Prince, the fact that Ricky there toured with Fleetwood Mac for 2 years, they are just amazing. And not to mention his sisters who have incredible voices as well. Our next member spotlight is on Jennifer Bennerot, the community, let me get this right, Jennifer. She has a really cool title. She's the City of Edina's community and...
Just communications director.
Communications director. And... I'm just a mess. Doug, what am I doing? I don't know. But anyway... Jennifer is a communication director for the City of Edina, been there over 20 years, and Hannelore, she's welcoming her new graphic designer to the team. I mean, can we all remember when we started our first day at a job? I mean, you were all new once, right? And give it up to Jennifer for making him feel welcome. Pictured there is our member Heather Edelson chilling with some friends at Lake Harriet. I mean, literally chilling with some friends. Hopefully there was something warm there, I don't know. This is a picture I took on Sunday from Jackson Hole, Wyoming. The name of the run, Josh, was called Gross Vent, which means fat belly. And what they had is they had a heat inversion, so it was very clear on the mountain. I wish I would have cropped it differently, but I'm actually standing on a run looking down at Teton Village, and you can't even see it because there are just clouds there. So I thought that was a cool picture, so I just thought I'd throw it in. This next one is Kelly Burnett's son, Jack, who was 6 at his first ski race. And I put this in for Darryl, because who knows, maybe when Darryl was 6 years old, he did his first ski race. There are people that have complained about winter, so I put this in. The groundhog said 6 more weeks of winter, so I ate them. It's kind of fun. Okay, moving on to something a little more serious. In the February's Rotary magazine, that's January's, by the way, Rotary International's president, Shakir Mata, encourages us to grow more, do more, as we serve to change lives. Because that's the motto this year, John, is serve to change lives. So, not sure if we were changing lives last Thursday night when 31 of us went on a progressive dinner tour to 3 restaurants in Minneapolis, but I just thought I would share that with you. The first restaurant we went to was Pimento, which is a delicious Jamaican restaurant in Rum Bar. And one of the pictures is with Sutton McGraw and her boyfriend Ryan with the owner Tommy Beavis. The next picture is Tanya and Sylvester Thomas at Pimentos, having a great time in front of a cool picture. You'll see that one again. And then Josh Sprague with Tommy Beavis. And I can't say enough about Josh, who organized this along with the Race and Equity Committee to go to 3 restaurants in North Minneapolis. This is a little bit about Pimentos. Tommy Beavis is Jamaican, and in 2012, using a $99 pop-up tent, Tommy's Backyard Grill, Pimento hit the streets of the Twin Cities. In 2013, they won Pimento's first brick and mortar on Food Network's reality competition show, Food Court Wars. In 2016, Pimento opened up its flagship located in Minneapolis East Side, then to TCF Stadium in 2017. They have done a lot, but my point is that they are much more than just a restaurant. After the death of George Floyd, when they had riots, they served people in the street. I think they also went when there was discord and disharmony after Daunte Wright was shot, and they provided food to the rioters and people that were protesting. So they were there. They were boots on the ground. Tommy also has founded Pimento Relief Services, whose mission is convene a community coalition to achieve economic, social, and political liberation for all Black people and to reimagine a world without prejudice. The next restaurant we went to was called Soul Bowl, which was delicious. Some of us had a Caribbean bowl, which included spicy beans, pineapple, and pork. Pictured here is one of our newest members, Rich Melzer, with Steve right there, right? Yeah, baby. And Peggy in the blue sweater, who is from the Minneapolis North Rotary. The last restaurant we went to was Sammy's, and that's a picture of Sammy's, and it was delicious. We had chocolate chip cookies, and we had banana pudding, and pictured there are Sandra Kresbach, Jennifer Benarott, and Heather and Carl Hansen. Also, past President Paul Moody, Jennifer Hendrickson, Lindsay Smock, and Raj Kumar were there. And after we munched on dessert and drank coffee, we got to go to the community room behind the restaurant. And there we met with community advocates for North Minneapolis in a community room. And they challenged us, and they said, come to North Minneapolis. Come to Minneapolis, make a difference, support us. So I appreciated that. That was great. It was very interesting hearing what they had to say and the resurgence of North Minneapolis. And at Josh's suggestion, I invited them to be our guests next week at our meeting here. So we'll see how many come. And next week happens to be Prospective Member Day, and our speaker will be Frank White, who wrote a book about the Negro baseball leagues in Minnesota. And it's also Prospective Member Day. So please bring friends and colleagues of color or just anybody that might be interested in our club who wants to check out Rotary. And then the last picture we have are just girls that want to have fun. Sometimes there's even alcohol involved. So from the right is our treasurer, Shelley Loberg. The middle is Kayla Beeler, who's going to be our gala co-chair. And then on the left is Lindsay Smaka. And I wanted to give a shout out to Lindsay because next week she's going to be talking about the Edina Rotary Global Scholar Program that our club has supported. So please come learn about that, learn about the capstone projects that her amazing students are doing. So birthdays this month, Mike Hagan, Andre Brewer, happy past birthday, Andre. Ted Yock, Luther Amundsen, Rick Carlson, Steve Slice, Catherine Gump, Sam Coate, Chris Major, Bob Goverud, Charlie Bear, John Cardle, and Shelley Loberg's coming up on the 30th. January Rotary Anniversaries, Luther Amundsen, 7 years, Barbara Bourne, 11, Wooj Bayan, 27 years, Rick Carlson, 22, Sam Coate, 39, Patty Ellingson Solheim, 28 years, Catherine Gump, 3 years in our club, Dave Hatsong, 23 years, Joe Hayes, hi Joe Hayes, 22 years, Doug Johnson, 12 years, Les Jones, 17 years, Kevin Call, 13 years, Coonsey, 25 years, Jerry Norton, 22 years, Royce Pavelka, 7 years, Steve Slice, 21 years, and Bob Solheim, 32 years. It says so much about the people. Go ahead, clap. Give it up to our members. Isn't that amazing, Jim? The two things that are amazing. Number one is the time, talent, and treasure they give to our club and Rotary International. and we so appreciate it. And the second thing is they see great value in our club and they want to continue to be involved for a very long time. I just think that's amazing. So anyway, it takes a village to put on a meeting, and today we've got Renee Harberts, who's doing the front desk and guest introductions. Our greeters were Lisa Walker and Karlen Padayachee. Our speaker introduction is Theresa Halverson. Mike Tingham, I think, where are you, Mike Tingham? You're right there, doing the Barker in review. We so appreciate that. Jennifer Hendrickson will be taking pictures for social media. Chris Lakowski is helping us for recording the meeting, and Ryan Wilson is graciously doing the Zoom. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, Invocation, and four-way test.
Good afternoon. So a poem came across my eyes this week, and I thought it was worth sharing with you. The author is unknown. Today, before you think of an unkind word, think of someone who can't speak. Before you complain about the taste of your food, think of someone who has nothing to eat. Before you complain about your husband or wife, think of someone who is crying out to God for a companion. Today, before you complain about life, think of someone who went too early to heaven. Before you complain about your children, think of someone who desires children, but they're barren. Before you argue about your dirty house that someone didn't clean or sweep, think of the people who are living in the streets. Before whining about the distance you drive, think of someone who walks the same distance with their feet. And when you are tired and complain about your job, think of the underemployed, the disabled, and those who wish they had your job. And before you think of pointing a finger or condemning another, remember that not one of us is without sin, and we all answer to one Maker. And when depressing thoughts seem to get you down, put a smile on your face and thank God you're alive and still around. Life is a gift. Live it, enjoy it, celebrate it, and fulfill it. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And the four-way test. First, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. Hey, this is really a pleasure for me to get to introduce guests. Of all the things that I've done here at Rotary, I've never had this honor. So here I am. Thank you. So, Michael, I understand that you have two guests today. So if you would be so kind as to introduce them.
This is my dear friend Kim Brooks, if you would stand up. He's in transition. He's been a banker. He's an outstanding guy. He's a great golf partner. He's a great fishing person. I enjoy being with him. He's a lot of fun to hang out with. And Bob Michelson, where are you? My fraternity brother from University of Wisconsin Eau Claire, who owns, ironically, an American Family Insurance Agency. How about that?
Yep.
He's a great skier. He's a pilot. He's an awesome guy. I'm so glad I came here. My dear friend Darryl too.
Michael, just so you know, he also said that when you went to college together that he was the smarter, better looking one.
No doubt. No doubt.
Actually, that was my edit. He's kinder than me. So, anyway, Josh Sprague, I do believe that you have a guest with us.
Yes, I do. I have a great friend of the Edina Rotary, Stephen Moore, who is in merchandise and apparel. Stephen made our t-shirts for the Edina Car Show and actually helped run the show a couple times, and was just on our Progressive Dinner Night tour and is thinking about joining the club.
Sonia Tangden, I believe that you have a guest.
Yes. My guest is my husband, Dave Tangden, and he's here today because he is a skier, racer, and into that world. So he's anticipating.
Welcome. And then last but not least, David Kleins.
Jared, stand up. Okay, this is Jared Scribner. We're very fortunate to have Jared as the head ski coach, alpine ski coach, downhill ski coach at Edina High School. And I invited him because of our illustrious speaker. So this is Jared Scribner.
Thanks everybody for coming, appreciate it.
Good job.
Dick Teagan, there's still time to come to bowling next Saturday night at Tuttle's, downtown Hopkins, Shady Oak Road. Seriously, we're going to have it. We have 24 people signed up, John Mazzara. We're going to have valuable prizes. It's going to be great fun. Think about coming. It'll be fun. Thank you for all those that are working on putting it together.
Hey there, I am Catherine Gumpf, and I have the honor of leading our club's fundraising for the Rotary Foundation. It's a great role because we have such a generous club who really appreciate all the good we do in the world by contributing to the Rotary Foundation. So today it's my pleasure to do two things. One, recognize the generosity of Dan and Stacy Mott as major donors, and two, update you very quickly, Michael, on our spring fundraising plans. So in mid-March, President Michael is letting us have some time at the podium to talk about the Rotary Foundation, and we will kick off a competition between Team Jeff O and Team Jennifer Benarat. Woo! So as you can imagine, these competitive captains want their teams to raise the most money this year for the Rotary Foundation. And importantly, each team wants all team members to participate. So we want to be an every Rotarian, every year donor club. So if you've already given or giving on a monthly basis, like many of us do, these donations are going to count towards your team's giving. So we will be getting the teams out in the next, I'm gone for the next week. So it'll be sometime mid-February. So, and in early May, we'll have a social event to celebrate our fabulous Paul Harris donors. So more to come on all of the above. Now, I am delighted to recognize Dan, and Stacy is playing Mahjong, so we don't get to see her today, for their giving over the years to attain major donor status. Dan joined our club in June 2000, and so has been a club member for 21 years. Dan's generous contributions to the Rotary Foundation have supported programs like the work our club's done in Guatemala with water programs and providing sanitation and hygiene toilets, to villages who would not have them otherwise, and really supports the peace programs described in this month's Rotary magazine. So Dan, on behalf of the Rotary Club of Edina, thank you. And congratulations, and I think you're going to share a couple things about why you give to the Rotary Foundation. So thank you.
Thank you. Well, the reason I find it both rewarding and enjoyable to give to Rotary, and that's really both our club foundation, the Edina Rotary Foundation, as well as the Rotary Foundation, TRF, which this award is about, which I'm honored by, is that I always find Rotary to be a source of good news. And what I mean by that is if you turn on the nightly news, or you turn on cable TV, or you pull out your phone and look on your computer, most of the sources of news that you get, the breaking news that they all talk about, is not always great news. And it's COVID, and it's inflation, and it's supply chain problems, and it's carjacking and a murder and crime, or it's Western fires and hurricanes and tornadoes, things like that, or divisive politics from school boards up to our national leaders. It's things like that. It's Russia invading, it's China hacking, it's whatever. And all those, you come here and it's good news. And I always feel good when I leave here because, Rotary is trying to solve problems, and whether it's trying to eradicate polio, whether it's a global grant that's giving money for villages in Africa digging wells, or much needed medical equipment going to Guatemala, exchange students. It's our local club doing coat fundraising, bringing in coats for the homeless people, doing Thanksgiving baskets. It's mentoring Wall Street, bring it back home, Lake Street businesses. And it's things like that again, I'm not naive, those aren't, a little bit of an issue has caused it, but it's trying to bring solutions. It's trying to one coat, one meal, one well, solve and make things better for people. And so that's why I always find, whether it's here or whether I'm looking at Rotary, what they're doing around the world, whether it's in our community or around the world, Rotary is a source of good news. And so that's why I find it both rewarding and enjoyable to give to Rotary. So thank you.
In addition to Dan Mott's and Stacy Mott's significant financial contribution to the Rotary Foundation International, you should be aware that he sits on the International Committee, Grants Committee. So he gives us a time to get grants approved, to clean up our balance sheet, to make sure all the grants that we've approved are paid or not paid. But anyway, my point is, he gives us time. We really appreciate that because he truly makes a difference in the world. So, thank you. Where are you? Got it. You're the light. Thank you, Dan. Theresa is a family law attorney at Missouri and Kramer, where she works with families going through transitions, whether it be divorce, getting married, in need of prenuptial agreement, adoption, surrogacy, or custody paternity matters. Theresa loves spending time with her family and lives in Edina with her 2 children, Ryan and Hannah, and her husband, Brett. They love going for walks, swimming, and trying different restaurants and foods. Please welcome my friend and fellow Rotarian, Theresa Halverson.
I have the pleasure of introducing Darryl Landstrom today. He's with the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Association. Darryl pursued his athletic passion at Chester Bowl, both as a ski jumper and Nordic combined skier. Due to an injury at the age of 21, he began volunteering his time more in support of junior alpine ski racing and ultimately led alpine sport committees in Central Division, the Rocky Central region, and today at the National Alpine Sport Committee. Is the chair and is a member of the U.S. Ski and Snowboard of Directors. Hope I got all that right. But welcome, Darryl.
Thank you for the introduction, and Michael, thank you for the invitation, and Rotary Club members, thank you as well. It's a real pleasure to be here on behalf of U.S. Ski and Snowboard. I'll try to keep this very high level because I know the time is limited, and hopefully I know how to work this remote. One point of clarification, by the way, Speedos didn't exist when I ski jumped. I wore nothing. I was in my birthday suit.
God love you,
Oop, am I going the right direction? So U.S. Ski and Snowboard. U.S. Ski and Snowboard was originally founded as U.S. Ski Association in 1905. And for a number of years was headquartered in Traverse City, Michigan. Today we're headquartered in Park City, Utah, at the Center of Excellence, which is pictured on that slide. We rebranded in 2017 and now are U.S. Ski and Snowboard. Sorry, Dave, I know you're still on a USSA mission, but we are U.S. Ski and Snowboard today. We have 150 full-time employees approximately. Of course, that will move up and down a little bit, and 180 athletes on all 7 of our national and World Cup teams. We have a vision, mission, and core values. Our vision is to be the best in the world in Olympic skiing and snowboarding. Our mission is to lead, encourage, and support athletes to achieve excellence by empowering our national teams, clubs, coaches, parents, officials, and volunteers. And that's a real important aspect because we have roughly 100,000 volunteers that help support our athletes throughout the country. And today we have 30,000 active athletes, of which 50% are in Alpine, which is the sport committee that I chair. Our core values are integrity, passion, fun, team, excellence, and grit. Grit is probably the key term up there because these athletes really put themselves to the test every time that they're in a venue, a competitive venue. We have 3 organizational pillars: athletic experience and performance, organizational excellence, and financial performance. Organizational excellence, we have rewritten our bylaws in the past 10 years. We do have OKRs, objectives and key results, that we measure all of our staff against. And so we've really stepped up our team in terms of how professional we are as an organization. And I should mention, we are a 501c3, so anyone feel free to leave a donation tonight. I'll take it back to Park City. Athlete performance and experience. Our objectives, we need to communicate, we need to provide funding and sponsorships. Media and content is critically important today, particularly on digital platforms. And we have to work very closely with the mental health of our athletes. I was with, interestingly enough, with my dentist recently, who was talking about her daughter, who is a Nordic skier for Orono, and her daughter just gets very nervous at every event, and if it's a non-high school event, she skis well. If it's a high school event, she doesn't ski quite as well. And I asked her if she'd ever thought about getting a sports psychologist for her daughter. She hadn't. Fast forward 2 months later, she couldn't thank me enough. It's made a huge difference with her daughter. So those are things that we do today that didn't exist when I was an athlete. Elite team program objectives. And our elite teams are critically important to us because they really are what U.S. Ski and Snowboard is about to the world. And we offer high performance elite events. We have training sites for Alpine. Copper Mountain in Colorado serves as our primary venue for early season training. We've invested in a Copper Mountain. We have our own area that we can use for technical, and in the Alpine world is slalom and giant slalom, but we also have the ability to train for speed. And speed in our world is Super G and downhill. Sport development objectives, we offer membership services, of course, to garner membership growth. Unfortunately, this year our membership, despite COVID, is up close to double digits. We have development events, club coach education, and club certification. The last two of which didn't even exist up until approximately 5 years ago. So we've really stepped up our game to help our coaching community and our club community to provide better services to our athletes. Organizational excellence. We have employee culture objectives. I mentioned OKRs, that's in part of the slide presentation there. Governance objectives. This is the International Ski Federation, under which U.S. Ski and Snowboard as an NGB falls. I serve on the University Race subcommittee with FIS. FIS holds meetings twice a year, in the fall in Zurich, Switzerland, and in the spring in different parts of the world. Unfortunately, the headwinds of COVID have kind of pushed us into a virtual environment the last several years, but we hope to get past that at some point. The USOPC, that's the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee, that was also rebranded a couple of years ago because we've incorporated Paralympics or para-athletes. International Olympic Committees, the IOC, NSFs, NGBs, etc. DEI objectives were very focused on equity and diversion and inclusion. And that's, of course, you're hearing every day with almost every business in the world, the importance of DEI, and we've adopted that as well. There is a program in the East Coast, in Rhode Island specifically, called Winter for Kids. And Sean Mallier has become a good personal friend and colleague of mine. This is really focused on underprivileged athletes, particularly from the inner city of New York and areas in New Jersey. And they have approximately 400 athletes. They provide all of the equipment at no charge. They provide them coaching lessons at no charge. And it's just been a phenomenal success in the East Coast. So it's a real objective for us to focus on DEI. Financial performance, we have, of course, all of our volunteers donate. We do have a foundation and we have a board of trustees that provide a great deal of financial support to U.S. Ski and Snowboard, for which we're thankful. We earn revenue growth through our performance, through the USOPC, and then of course our membership and merchandising. The efficiency objective is really critical because our objective today is fully fund all of our athletes. It wasn't too many years ago where our athletes really paid their own way. And today, I'm proud to say that we're providing the top level athletes with almost 100% financial support. And then financial stability, our asset management. We do have some endowments. We're managing our debt financing on the building pretty well these days, and so we feel pretty good about where we're at financially. Although admittedly, going into an Olympic year, we're going to be facing a few more challenges because there's typically a sponsorship drop-off after the post-Olympics, but hopefully we'll survive that better than past Olympics. Season schedule, the red line is really what's most important. The Olympics kick off basically a week from tomorrow, and in Beijing, and everybody's probably wondering why Beijing. I asked the same question. But being part of this, I've seen the proposals that all of the nations put forth to host World Championships and the Olympics. And China made a commitment to the International Ski Federation that they would put 30 million new skiers on snow as part of their Olympic bid. And that's what took them over took them to the goal line. Personally, I didn't like the idea of moving from Korea to China. Having back-to-back Asian hosts, I didn't feel comfortable with, but it is what it is. Fortunately, the next Olympics will be in Torino, Italy, so we'll be back on a more neutral location, and I think it's going to be better for the world and better for our athletes for sure. But I'll touch base on the Olympics just for a moment because I'm also involved with the selection committee for Alpine. And it's a real challenging process because we have to look at who's on our national team, who's skiing World Cup, how are they performing. So we have very specific criteria that we have to evaluate. And just recently, if you've not heard the name Breezy Johnson, she's our top speed athlete in Super G and downhill. She had a horrific crash 2 years ago and recovered and had a couple podium finishes this season, and then re-injured herself 2 weeks ago to a point where she just announced that she was withdrawing from the Olympics. So we had an emergency call 3 nights ago to talk about who do we backfill and how is the process going to work. And going into Beijing, because of COVID, all of these athletes by nation have to remain in what's called a bubble. So they can't engage with other nations except at the start or the finish. They're just not going to have that social environment that has been so important historically to the Olympics. Well, as an alternate, which we named the other night, she's going to be in a hotel room by herself, away from the rest of the team, unable to train. And if there's another injury, or God forbid a COVID case that surfaces and takes an athlete out, she will get the call the night before the event and show up. Now, in the case of downhill, she'll be able to go and train for the 2 days, because we do have 2 days of training, but it nonetheless will put her at a potentially significant disadvantage. So we're hopeful that we won't have to go to that extreme, but nonetheless, it's some of the things that we're dealing with that is just unlike any other Olympics that I've been involved with. Financial performance I touched on. We do have the foundation. We have commercial objectives. We're looking for revenue growth year in and year out. Again, I think I backed up a slide, didn't I? I'm sorry. There we go. Organizational structure and entities. U.S. Ski and Snowboard Association. I'm on the board of directors. I term out in May. It'll be my 8th year, so we can serve up to 2 4-year terms. We do have an investment fund, a properties fund, which really supports the Center of Excellence, and then we have the Snowboard Foundation. Well, the gratifying thing about showing up today is there's a few familiar faces here. One individual in this room kids like my son used to look up to, and he used to ski with a couple of milk cartons on the end of the ski poles, Dave Tengen. And I was at an event at Buck Hill just last weekend where his family sponsors every year. Was really a great event, and his family's been real supportive. High school ski racing, that's in many respects kind of an anomaly to U.S. Ski and Snowboard because we really don't have a formal affiliation with the high school leagues. We recognize them, they recognize us, we utilize our assets when it makes sense, particularly for championship events, but the high school leagues continue to operate in and of themselves. However, and I've sat on the collegiate committees for years, we do have the NCAA, and there's a secondary program called USCSA that fall under US Ski and Snowboard. So we do have the collegiate involvement, and we do look to the collegiate involvement for pipelines access to athletes that are really coming up and performing well. So with that, I guess I'd open up for any questions. Well, that's just our board of directors. I shouldn't say just. It is a paragraph just describing our board of directors' responsibilities. We do meet 4 times a year, once in person, although COVID has kind of put a roadblock onto that, but we meet quarterly.
Yes, you mentioned earlier about referring someone to a sports psychologist. I'm curious what a sports psychologist's role is, or what that person does.
Well, typically they talk to the athlete about issues that they're experiencing, whether it's nervous anxiety, inability to finish an event, and I'm more alpine centric, so I'll speak to alpine for the moment, but inability to finish. A lot of times it's your concentration. You're unable to maintain concentration. Are you unable to memorize the course properly? Because what a lot of people don't realize, these athletes, you'll see pictures on TV where they're up on top of the hill with their eyes closed and doing this. And what they're doing is actually working their way through the course mentally. And that helps prepare them to get, to perform well. So sports psychologists work with primarily helping them get their confidence level back and dealing with any other issues that they might be experiencing.
Question.
Yeah.
Do you know what the incidence of COVID is throughout China and areas of China? And is it the most recent COVID, or is it COVID-19, or,
Well, they have Omicron over there, that's for sure.
Yeah, they have Omicron, okay. And what's the incidence of it?
I don't know, because that's fluid. It changes almost daily.
Yeah, right.
So we're sending a skeletal crew of our leadership over there. No fans are allowed. I mean, you couldn't go there on a bet today. So it's going to be a very different Olympics. Probably not much unlike what we saw with the Tokyo Olympics. There aren't going to be any fans in the arenas, et cetera. So.
I'm wondering about the pipeline of your athletes that you mentioned. Is there a particular geography, a region like Colorado, or particular schools that you find that you most often draw your athletes from?
Well, I can start locally. We produce a number of Olympic athletes out of Buck Hill. But we have basically 3 regions in the country. We have the Eastern region. We have Rocky Central, which is basically the state of Michigan, west through Colorado, and then we have the far west. And the East is the most populous. The East has a number of academies that produce some very high-quality athletes, and they have a very robust collegiate circuit out there. My son skied for Team Gilboa, and he PG'd for a year, which is taking a break between high school and college, and I moved him to Steamboat, and he then ended up skiing for the University of Vermont, which kind of broke my heart. I thought he was in Colorado, which could be good for me, but it was good for him at the end. So we draw a lot of good athletes out of the East, but frankly, there's good athletes that come throughout the country. And we produce good athletes here because of the repetition that they can get in, which you can relate to from a high school perspective.
You think someday there'll be Olympics at one place instead of moving all over the world, because each country that hosts usually ends up taking a bath on the cost of it's so expensive?
It's a great question, and I think it's a pipe dream. But if it were me, I'd have Geneva and Athens and call it a day,
right,
and just do a revenue share with participating countries. But I don't think we'll see it happen.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Yes.
What's the connection with athletes at the end of their career back with the foundation?
That's a great question, and we do have. We reach out to all of our athletes at the point that they retire, because we want them re-engaged. And the reason that's a great question is because the USOPC recently announced a mandate that we have to have 33% athlete representation on our key committees. And so I've been on a mission since this became policy the last year, recruiting athletes. And we can have athletes that are 10 years or longer out of competition and 10 years or less in competition. So we're seeing much more involvement from an athletic perspective on our key decision-making committees.
Darryl, I wonder if you might comment about how the U.S. Ski and Snowboard Association has changed its attitude about athletes in school. The U.S. Ski, or the NCAA, used to be known as the retirement program for ex-U.S. ski team athletes, but now U.S. Ski and Snowboard is encouraging the kids that are on the team to participate in college and get a college degree. You want to talk about how that's evolved over the years?
Sure, and Dave is absolutely right. When my son was making a decision about continuing down the competition path versus college, I sat in on a collegiate working group meeting in Park City, and the discussion was how they were going to go about recruiting foreign athletes, because the coaches get paid to win the NCAAs. And so they want the best athletes in the world. And I asked the question at that point, well, can't we have a system of parity where no one can have more than X% foreign athletes to give our American athletes an opportunity not only get an education, but continue their competitive path? And it was just shut down. And for years, if you go to college, you're done. That was the attitude. You go to college, you're off our radar. Well, in the past 5 years, roughly, that whole mentality has changed. We recognize that these athletes, particularly at the D1 level, are great athletes. And an athlete who wins the NCAA, whether it's single discipline or both, they only do slalom and giant slalom, we invite back. And the top athletes, we make access available to them. So that has changed considerably. The other thing that's happened, which I was involved with on an international level, it used to be that a foreign athlete could ski until they were 28. So foreign athletes ski for their country. A lot of the countries consider them part of the military. They put them on a payroll stipend, pay all their expenses. And when they're done with the World Cup and they want to get an education and they still are competitive, guess what? They come to the U.S. and they take a spot on one of our Division I college programs. Well, 2 years ago, we finally got approval. We've reduced it. Now you have to be over 17 and no more than 25 to ski NCAA or any collegiate program globally. So it's progress. It really is meaningful progress for younger athletes. Answer your question?
Not exactly, because
me and my big mouth.
It's sort of, that's part of it, but it used to be you get off the U.S. ski team and you're 26, 27 years old, you don't have a college degree, now what do I do? How the USSA has encouraged kids to take summer school programs and encourage them to get their education.
No, you're correct, Dave, and my apologies for overlooking that piece of it. But yes, we have scholarship opportunities for these athletes. They are encouraged to move forward with continued education. And the goal at the end of the day is to, when you finish your career, to either have or be very close to having your college education completed.
One point of interest is that about a week or a couple weeks ago, there was a group of Rotarians that went out skiing, and we were led by our president, Michael Stanzak, and of course,
is that when you have a bloody nose?
Yeah, in fact. But I will tell you this. Michael skied with the group, skied a single black diamond. We didn't do any doubles, but we did a single black, and Michael skied it beautifully. Yeah. He skis K2, I ski Solomon. There's my question. Vocals, Steve is on vocals. Question is this, you're in atomic skis here. What kind of skis do you usually ski downhill on?
Well, I'm a K2 fan. So it really depends. Before you buy skis, you should always demo skis. If you're going to Colorado, as an example, and you're thinking about, and you're in the market for a new pair of skis, go to the local shop and get demo skis, not the basic rental inventory, because you can trade them every day, and you find where your comfort level is, and that's what you end up buying.
Who's Billy?
Oh, I did leave some what we call in the industry swag on the tables. The poster is Billy DeMond. That's his when he won the World Championships in Nordic combined. That's cross country and jumping. That was in 2010, and Billy went on in 2012 in Vancouver to be the only American that's ever gold medaled in Nordic combined. Billy's a very dear friend of mine, and I asked him for some posters, and he physically hand autographed each of these that's on your tables for me. But I went to Alaska with Billy and another former Olympian, Chip Knight, back in March, and we went heli skiing for 5 days. So that was a real experience to show up with. The word got out I was up with 2 Olympians, and everybody misunderstood, thinking because I chair the sport committee and I'm on the board that I must ski at their level. So they started us out a little over my head, not so much theirs. But at any rate, it was a great trip. We had a great time, and it's just part of the reward of the payback, if you will, of doing what I do. Yes?
Just a reminder, we've got the video. And
yep. I just looked at my watch, actually. So.
One quick question. Can you give us a 1-minute overview of the Olympics as far as the U.S. skiers?
Well, I think we're going to have a I'll do it by discipline. I think snowboarding, we probably are going to have very good results. Shaun White's back. I don't know if he still has the ability at his age to gold, but I think he'll be a podium finisher. Chloe Kim, no doubt she's going to be, worst case in my opinion, silver, but she should be a gold medalist. Our free ski and freestyle team should do very well. Aerials will be interesting because it's in China, and I suspect China spent a lot of time behind the scenes in the gyms and whatever working on aerial performance. In terms of cross country, Jessie Diggins out of our backyard here. She just won a couple of events in Europe, so she's primed and ready to go. So I think we'll see some good results certainly in the women's side of cross country. Nordic combined, Loomis had a real good result in Europe. I think he stands to do well. This is his 3rd Olympics and likely his last because of his age, but I think he has a potential to be top 10. I'm not sure about a podium. In Alpine, I have concerns about Alpine. We don't have a Lindsey Bond. We don't have a Bodie Miller. We do have Michaela, and Michaela certainly should podium. Hopefully we'll see a gold in at least slalom. On the men's side, we really don't have the depth that I think we need to podium there, but I think we'll see some good results because it's a young team. So River Radamus in GS, I would look for top 10. I think Luke Winters, could be a top 10 in slalom, but I don't see, unfortunately, I wish I did, I just don't see podium opportunities on the Alpine side, at least at this Olympic quad. So if there aren't any other questions, I'll move on to the video. I wanted to leave you with this while we're thinking about the Olympics.
Take the leaders on the left. Bill Mayer into first place. They are unbelievable.
I wanted to prove that Americans had what it takes to be the best team in the world.
When I won 2006, I was 21 years old. I wasn't expecting to win. I wasn't a favorite. So it was just like a shock and a dream come true.
To the finish line, and she's got gold, Julia Mancuso.
This is the most powerful, most fit woman on tour.
Lindsey Bond into the lead by more than a half second.
I've worked so hard for this, and it's awesome.
Watching the Vancouver Olympics, Bodie and then Lindsey, that's inspiring. You see it and you're like, there's one thing I can do in my life. That's what I want it to be.
And she is skiing with such efficiency, such confidence.
One slalom gold 4 years ago, and giant slalom gold for Michaela Schifrin in Pyeongchang.
Oh my God.
827 feet of near perfection. American Hannah Carney wins gold
Sage's signature move, the Holy Grail.
Oh, the bloody Dracula.
Well, Gerard now, one more jump to navigate.
This is a dream, dude. Oh my God.
Like a bullet over the final jump, down comes Bodie Miller to the finish line, looking to get under Phil's time, and he does! They call him the Warhorse for his all-out style, and Wybrick, amazing run!
And here goes Simon. This could be the moment of truth. For the first time in Nordic combined, the United States wins a gold, and they're going to add a silver as well.
Josh Christensen saving his best for the final. It's unbelievable that the United States has swept the podium here with such a strong international field.
Obviously, one of the main things we shoot for as the U.S. ski and snowboard team is excellence at the Olympic Games.
This is insanity. This run is so technical.
David Wise has defended his gold medal from Sochi. Back-to-back 1080s. Chloe Kim, the 2018 Olympic gold medalist in halfpipe.
It's so rare that people can live up to the hype.
Shaun White, that is the run that he needed, and he put it down. A three-time gold medalist in the men's halfpipe.
Diggins making the play, and it is Jesse Diggins delivering a landmark moment.
It's a gold medal for the United States. It's not just the medal, it's the gold.
I'm so grateful. You gotta do your best and bless the rest.
Oh my God! I can't believe you did this. I'm so happy.
Thanks, everybody.
Darryl, on behalf of Edina Rotary, thanks for your presentation. And for all of those who are skiers and snowboarders, I gotta say, I take my hat off to you. I did try downhill skiing for the first time. You know, growing up in South Africa and growing around a lot of snow, and it does take a lot of grit and perseverance to get up there. And so thank you for your presentation. And on behalf of Rotary, Rotary is a global network of 1.2 million neighbors, friends, leaders, and problem solvers who see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, in ourselves. From literacy and peace to water and health, Rotarians are always working to better our world, and we stay committed to the end. In honor of your presentation, we will make a donation to My Very Own Bed, a local nonprofit that provides new beds to children moving into stable housing. My Very Own Bed gives a new bed and a set of sheets, blanket, pillow, and mattress, pad, stuffed animals, and book to children who might otherwise go without. So thank you, Darryl, and good luck, Team USA.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Darryl. I mean, does that not get everybody pumped up? What do you think, Les? You ready to watch the Olympics? Yeah. David Klein says, I think I could do a 1080 on a snowboard. I said, no doubt, David. I think you're ready to go. Or you could fake it anyway. I don't know. All right, we're almost done, everybody. To infinity and beyond. So today, right now, the Minnesota Veterans Rotary Club is having a four-way collection, and that's taking place at St. Peter's Lutheran Church on France Avenue. So Mark Justin, if you wanted to give blood, if you wanted to give clothes, if you wanted to give electronic recycling, go to France Avenue, St. Peter Lutheran Church. On Saturday, the Rotaract is having Feed My Starving Children at Chanhassen. You can contact them if you want to participate. Next Wednesday, David Wendt and Gordy Lewis are going to speak at CW's in Bloomington, and it's an avocation happy hour at 6 o'clock. For those of you that don't know, Angel Flight is for pilots that take people in need of medical services, or they take organs and they fly them to different places. And in the history of the organization, Gordy Lewis is the person that has the second number of flights. So, way to go, Gordy. It should be a really fun, interesting meeting. Next week is Perspective Member Day with Frank Wright, who wrote a book, A League of Their Own, about the Negro baseball players. Saturday is the Edina Rotary bowling event. Excuse me, the 5th. Rotaract is skating at Centennial Lakes. Our very own Gene Morrison is going to be there Wednesday, February 9th at Think Bank Community Room, resolving conflict at 7:45 in the morning till 9. All the Veep shifts are full. Interact Skate and Polio on the 19th at Braemar Arena, and Rotaract Polar Plunge at Lake Minnetonka on March 12th. You can't buy happiness, but you can buy a ski pass. Meeting adjourned.